pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Dr. Goller, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Scott,
Here.
Mrs. Wise,
Here.
Mr. Irwin,
Here.
Mrs. Killian,
Here.
Mrs. Lohr,
Here.
Ms. Lauer,
Present.
Dr. Powers.
Here. Thank you. Reading our vision and mission. Our vision is working together with our community. We inspire our students to discover their talents and rise to their greatest potential. Our mission is building on the strength of our diverse community. We create an engaging, comprehensive educational environment that supports the growth of lifelong learners. Dr. Hayworth, would you instruct us as to some donations, please?
Again, we live in a very blessed community and very appreciative of that community's efforts to help our students. And tonight, the administration recommends acceptance for the donation to the following: backpack program, Deming Early Learning Center, Title I preschools and early learning centers, Honey Creek Middle School, Terre Haute South Junior ROTC program, and the Adult Education Program.
So moved.
Second that.
Thank you. Mr. Irwin moved to accept, and Mrs. Lohr seconded that. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mrs. Wise,
Aye.
Mr. Irwin,
Aye.
Mrs. Killian,
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr,
Aye.
Ms. Lauer,
Aye.
Dr. Powers.
Aye. Thank you. And now it is my privilege to recognize some of our academic all-stars that we have here today. And if Dr. Hayworth would join me, and as I call your name, please come up to the front. And also, we have some Golden Apple Award winners. So this is a special evening. But Dylan Lemon. And Katie Collins is another.
Give them one more round of applause.
And our Golden Apple Award winners, and this certificate is just the minimal of our thanks to all they do and the tremendous effort. And of course, this past year has been a monumental efforts by all of our teachers. But our Golden Apple Award winners, Peggy Grabowski. and Annie Bacon. Whoops, don't leave yet. And Andrea Luger. Again, such talented youth and such talented veterans we have in our midst. And we do appreciate it. We also have a best team presentation that I'm excited about because it is a young group that we have officially recognized in the school corporation, and I think that's great.
So if we could have our coaches come up and just tell us a little bit about your teams and a little bit about your seasons. And a little bit about your gear. Liking those shirts.
Well, first, early on, I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Hayworth, and like he probably said to most of you on the school board, the first time he met you was, "Do you realize we have a bass fishing team here?" He said that to me, and fortunately, West Vigo, who started this club at the time, opened their doors to all of the high schools, all of the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools around the area. So my son was already fishing on that team, West Vigo's team, while he was going to Terre Haute North. Dr. Hayworth said, like, he came here and pretty much said, "I want to bring all these non-traditional sports to the high schools." And it has got the kids, I say kids, they're not kids, but the student anglers involved, not just with bass fishing, but bowling, crew, looking at archery, all this other stuff. These are students that probably wouldn't play football or baseball or something like that. I've got numerous girls on my fishing team. I've got freshmen all the way up to seniors. I've got, when I first started, had 106 people at the first 2 or 3 meetings. I was overwhelmed, so I knew I was way in over my head. But myself, Chad Garcelini with West Vigo, Clay Burson, Merv, John Bunch, all these guys, we all worked together and tried to establish what we put together today. And we've all got numerous kids on the team. South just getting started, but there's a lot of interest there. And, you know, I just can't thank the superintendent and Mr. Joseph and all the principals and the teachers enough, because they've opened this sport up to all of the anglers or all of the students that really wouldn't be playing other sports. So it's an honor to be able to coach this team and see all these anglers excel. We've got I'm taking 3 teams to a national tournament on Lake Cumberland. That's the Bassmaster National High School Tournament. and these anglers can win scholarships at all these tournaments. John and West Vigo, they're taking numerous kids up to Wawasee this weekend for the state tournament. And those are also scholarship tournaments. But, you know, the credit lies within Chad Garcelini, Clay Burson, Scott Rohrbach, all those guys that established their West Vigo, and for Dr. Hayworth to, you know, want to bring it to all the high schools. So, appreciate it. Thank you. I know that Merv wants to say a few words, and John probably wants to say a few words too.
I'm Merv Javens, assistant coach with Bill at Terre Haute North, and I'd like to thank the board for giving our bass team the opportunity to speak tonight on what we're trying to accomplish with our student anglers. The sport of competitive bass fishing is very special to each and every one involved. Not every student is capable of playing football, basketball, as well as other sports of this nature, but most students can learn to fish and continue to fish for most of their entire lives. There's a lot more than we are trying to teach these young anglers. Not just are we trying to teach them the techniques of competitive bass fishing, we are teaching conservation, how to protect, how to improve the resources that we all enjoy, as well as for us and for our future generations to come. Our student anglers are required to complete a boater safety education course. Our student anglers must participate in media exposure such as social media, local news, or national that brings positive recognition to our school and to our team. We are also teaching the importance of giving back to the community by raising awareness to the needs of others and not just ourselves. We will be hosting a bass tournament, possibly a county championship tournament between West Vigo, Terre Haute South, and Terre Haute North, crowning a county champion while raising funds and awareness for the St. Jude Children's Hospital. The success of this program relies heavily on our volunteer boat captains for the student anglers. Without these fine volunteers, this program would not be a possibility. And to all those people, I'd like to say thank you. I think that I can speak for the entire team and probably most of the other high school bass fishing teams across Indiana in asking you to please support and stand behind the Vigo County High School bass fishing teams. This is truly a sport that needs to become a permanent, established sport with the vision of someday crowning a state championship bass fishing team. And hopefully that bass fishing team will come from right here in Vigo County. Thank you.
We just want to say thank you for the opportunity for the boys. Not only do they keep up on their grades and things like that, it also teaches them responsibility. They got to prepare, get ready for the next day and things like that. So again, we want to thank Mr. Easton for allowing us to come do our practices in the gym sometimes and things like that. Mr. Hayworth also, thank you very much for backing us on this, and we do appreciate it.
I've heard of some fish stories in my time, but I've never heard of hauling a lawnmower out of the lake. Can anybody share that fishing story with us?
Well, those two anglers aren't here tonight. Of course, most of the anglers that enjoy fishing also like turkey hunting, so they're out in the woods turkey hunting right
I can
now.
understand.
But last year, two of my anglers on Terre Haute North's team, they were fishing. So they were out on the lake, I believe it was out in Idle Creek. And one of the lawn mowing companies, one of the employees had a mishap, and if you see the lakes out there, you know, a lot of them have little ledges that, you know, go off from the yard, and he drove it into that. So my two boys, Bobby Mickelson, Preston Dow, they zipped over there, made sure the guy was okay, and waited around until, you know, they could get that lawnmower out. So the business owner for that company, he just couldn't say enough about the two boys. They helped in any way they possibly could, and, you know, he made a donation to our team. So it was very generous, it was humbling, and, you know, it lit up social media, you know, for a couple weeks. So, it's the kind of things that, you know, these boys and girls, you know, on the team, you know, on both teams, all of our teams here in Vigo County, are due. They're great students, and a lot of them are turning out to be fantastic anglers.
Does that go on their total weight for the season?
It does.
Can we get
They need no help. They were my angler of the years last year.
Can we get 2 team pictures? Can we have West Vigo come up first, and the board president will join us? And the principal. We're gonna have to do 2 rows. We're gonna have to do a kneeling row and a behind row.
That's actually good width if we can get in.
Are we good there?
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Cheese,
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. Let's give West Vigo a round. And can we get North up here, please? Coaches and principal. I will. Guys, thank you so much.
And if there's ever a team fish fry, I'm sure the board would be glad to join in.
I think we should make that mandatory.
That's great. It's always good to bring in these, to recognize the sports that are already really in existence. And we can make it a, sort of official.
They didn't really speak to it. They will receive varsity letters and varsity jackets. And one cool thing is, the varsity patch for bass fishing, you know how you get, if you letter in football, it's the shape of a football. If you letter in baseball, it's the shape of a baseball. In bass fishing, it's actually the shape of a bass. So, kind of fun.
That's good. Good addition.
Dr. Hayworth?
In education, student success is rooted really, I think, in 3 tiers. The teacher-student relationship, the student setting, and the system that governs both the students and the setting. I think through co-design, it's possible to accelerate the performance of all 3. Tonight we're going to talk about a co-design project with the Boys and Girls Club, which I believe does just that. Co-design for public schools is the act of working collectively with community partners to ensure greater value to students and their community. The Vigo County School Corporation has a successful history of co-designing. We've historically partnered with higher education, local business, local government, and not-for-profits to ensure greater value for our students. As we cast a vision for the future for our children, we need to understand how our community, rather than just the school or the program, can support our youth. To co-design, we need to work together to identify the most critical needs and build capacity within the community to address those needs through data-driven action. I I came across an example of this in Toledo, Ohio, several years ago. The Boys and Girls Club of Toledo, Ohio, and the Toledo Public Schools have a long-standing relationship. However, they took their partnership to a new level when Toledo Public Schools built and renovated their school buildings. Club leaders and school board members proposed incorporating Boys and Girls Clubs inside the renovated buildings. The co-design approach now benefits hundreds of students daily. Immediately after school, students have access to tutoring, Wi-Fi, STEM projects, library, art, music rooms, and cafeteria. Tonight, I am happy to announce our co-design project with the Boys and Girls Club is now being launched for the second time. We tried to launch right before the pandemic. So our launch with the Boys and Girls Club will take place at Meadows Elementary School after a 14-month delay. I'd like to thank Meadows Elementary School and the Boys and Girls Club for their patience during this time. We look forward to putting more meaningful, character-driven adults in the lives of our students for more hours of the day, and this partnership allows for that to happen. You know, many Indiana communities are seeing a decline in population. In fact, 4 out of every 5 school districts in Indiana are shrinking in enrollment. VCSC right now happens to be one of those districts. Beyond academic gains, co-design can help grow talent and grow communities. I believe this relationship is an example of how we will do that. I thank the Boys and Girls Club. I thank the leadership of Meadows Elementary. I don't know if the two of you or one of you would want to address the board at any time.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to Dr. Hayworth. Thank you to the board. This is a great opportunity for us to reach out to more children, more youth, and to serve them in a meaningful way. You know, last year we did over 8,000 snacks and over 5,170 hot meals to kids during the year. And we look forward to continuing to do that. But we want to be an education-based program. You know, the Boys and Girls Club for years in Terre Haute has always been about basketball. And we always want to be able to have sports and athletics and basketball and football. But to us, the most important thing is the model of going education-based. And to do that, you go into a school, just like Dr. Hayworth has designed, and we go to the kids there. We'll be able to work with the teachers during the day. So if a young person needs help with something after school, we're there for them. We've got a great relationship with the staff there, and we're there to assist them and be an extension of the school corporation, and I think it'll be a great partnership. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to doing this.
Hi, for those of you that do not know me, I'm the principal at Meadows Elementary School, Cassandra Cook. I wanted to thank Dr. Hayworth and to the members of the school board for this opportunity. We look forward to partnering with the Boys and Girls Club. Trent and I have been working together. We do have a great relationship with them, and we will do everything in our power to make this partnership beneficial for the community at large and for the Meadows Elementary School community. So we want to thank you, and we believe this will be just a great thing for our students and our staff and just the community as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you. There is really no action that you have to take because you already approved the MOU last year. Thank you again.
Let's hope the same thing that happens afterwards.
Thank you.
Now we have a Thoughtexchange demonstration.
So we have recently gotten a product called Thoughtexchange that we want to use school corporation-wide. Thoughtexchange is a way for us to have deeper engagement with our community. in a less transactional way than just a survey. The initial use of Thoughtexchange, and we're going to do a sample Thoughtexchange here in a moment, we're going to use to listen and engage with our community surrounding the high school projects. If you think about taking a survey, there's not really an opportunity for somebody who's taking that survey sometimes to tell you what they really think, or share a really great idea, or see what other people said and respond to that. Thoughtexchange is one way that we can do that. And so we're going to start using Thoughtexchange to extend some of the conversations that we've initially had in those community meetings. We just had a presentation on co-design. One of the things that we believe has really taken off and sparked the imagination of this community surrounding the high school project is the potential for co-design opportunities within that project. And so I'd like to take the board and everybody who's here today, those who are watching via our live stream, through a sample Thoughtexchange. It'll take about 4 minutes, and all you will need is your phone or a computer. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up, and then I'll give us some instructions. Doing two things at once, sorry. So, you see on the board a QR code. You also see a URL. You can do either one. So you can scan the QR code and it'll snap you right to a website, or you can enter the URL tejoin.com and you'll be prompted for that 9-digit code. The question that we'll be engaging with the Thoughtexchange today is below there. The first round of community meetings in this week, I want to put a plug in for those, Tuesday at Fayette and Thursday at Sugar Grove, but they won't be our last community meetings. So as we move forward, what elements should be included in future community meetings? Ideas may include locations, specific groups, and specific information provided in the meetings. So I'm going to go hit start on this. So I'd like everybody to log in and give a couple responses. You don't need to just do one. You can give as many responses as you like. Then you'll be able to move next to star responses. You can rank those responses that other people gave from 5 stars to 1. 5 stars meaning I like that. 1 star meaning I don't particularly like that. And again, you can feel free to leave as many thoughts there and rate as many ideas as you would like. So as more thoughts come in, be sure to keep rating. All right, so that's been 4 minutes. In those 4 minutes, we've received 23 ideas from our community, those here and watching at home, and we've received over 235 ratings of those thoughts, what people like to see. So as you can see, a couple things after using it. First of all, it's very user-friendly. Second of all, we can use the power of social media to get the word out about these questions, and we do intend, as May goes on, and through the summer, to maybe have one thought exchange a week. And they can be on a variety of topics. Initially, once more, they'll be on the high school project. What are people responding to? How can they have their voice heard? As you can see, it's a pretty democratic tool. There's no all caps when you rate, right? And so each person can rate once, but the computer uses AI to weed out people who maybe put the same thought over and over and over again to get their idea to the top. This year we'll be using Thoughtexchange for a variety of things other than the high school project. This is one way that we can get thoughts of our parents and guardians. This is also one way we can get thoughts of our staff members. We did a sample thought exchange with our principals in the principal meeting on Thursday. It went very well, talking about what are the things that they're seeing in their building that might help them address learning loss as we move forward. So we wanted to model this for you. I can show you a little bit. The results are instantaneous. So I can see the top rated and top how many people responded to from the top. I can do some pretty good analytic things in terms of how people responded. So we see the top rated idea was more student input and opportunities to use their voice. So I think that's something we'll probably be incorporating. But we'll use this as an iterative tool, somewhat weekly, to get our community used to this. And we're looking forward to getting more community engagement surrounding all we do in the future using this tool.
Thank you, Bill. That was interesting. That was good. How many out there participated? Were able to? Good. Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you. It's a little different than our usual agenda here at the board meeting, and I appreciate that, Mr. Wiley. You're good. Right now, we're ready for a COVID-19 update. Dr. Balatevich. comments from the audience regarding agenda items? Oh, good, okay. Please state your name, and you know you have a 5-minute limit.
My name is Leela Porter. I'm a student at Sarah North. And I know today the board is going to consider going back to on Mondays, 5 days a week. And I like the fact that we don't have Mondays right now, mostly because it was really hard to get used to going back to 4 days a week after I was only going 2. And I have 3 AP classes right now. I have AP Macro, AP Government, and Literature, AP Lit. So it just really helps me on the Mondays to make sure I have time to get my work done. And especially, I'm very busy in the week. I'm very involved. I run track. I'm in several different committees. And, well, I'm in charge of the VSU at North. So I just think it's only like 4 more Mondays, and just from what I hear from everyone at school and my thoughts personally, it just seems like unnecessary to go the Mondays. There's not that much left, and I know you guys are worried about next year, the students not being used to only 5 days, but there's not really that much. I don't want to say that, but I don't think it's like they've been to 5 days of school their whole lives until this year. So I know I can't relate to that because I'll be in college next year, but I just think you should very much consider it. Consider not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mabel Belzell from Terre Haute North. I'm a junior. Sorry. I am agreeing with Leah on this. We only have 4 more weeks of Mondays at least, and it's very nice to have a consistent schedule, and it's very hard to keep on going back and forth on like the weeks in the schedules. So and it's really hard on mental health, and it's really hard to have that non-consistent schedule. So that's my opinion on that. Thank you.
Right now, Dr. Balatevich, COVID-19 update.
Good evening, Dr. Hayward, President Lauer, members of the School Board of Trustees. If I can get my computer working, but we'll just do this without it. No, I got it. It's coming up. I would like to give you an update on COVID-19. See if I could do this while I'm talking. Over the past day, we have talked to all of our medical professionals, and we just want to give you an update of where we stand at this point in time. And I will, oh, thank you. It's awfully nice of you. Currently, in Vigo County, we have, today we had 2 cases, and we had really we look at the weekends quite a bit. They're a good barometer of where we stand in our community. And today we had 2 cases. Saturday we had 9 cases, and on Sunday we had 14 cases. That's for the entire county. And what we have today are the 2 cases. In our daily cases per 100,000, we have come down to 10 cases per 100,000. And that really, truly is, as I've been up here before, is a good benchmark because it's a standardized benchmark that can be used across the country, if not across the world. But 10 is among some of the lowest numbers that we've had thus far since the beginning of the pandemic. Weekly cases per 100,000, 79. That is down from last week from 82, and positivity rate sits at 3.5%. One of the things we are concerned about in the community are the hospitalizations. We had a handful of hospitalizations a couple of weeks ago, and those hospitalizations have risen to about 15 hospitalizations. The health department continually updates us on those types of metrics. I get updates almost on a daily basis. One of the concerning things about the hospitalizations, as I talked to Union Hospital today and to Dr. Brucken, is the age of the patient in the hospital ward. It has come down from the 70s, 70-year-olds, to 57 is the median age of the patient. These are all unvaccinated patients, and that is a concern of the hospital, of the health department, and Dr. Brucken and Dr. Holder, who I spoke to today also, all echoed the same concern about vaccinations, and I'll get into that here in a second. In the Vigo County School Corporation, right now, we have 0 active staff cases, 0. That is awesome, and we have 15 active student cases, and that has grown a little bit. So altogether, we have 15 active cases in the school corporation. To give some reference, a reference point, on March 22nd, we had 4 staff members that were positive and 8 students. So it was one decline, the other rose a little. So if you look at the state projections of where we are and where we're going, we have plateaued with cases, and we've plateaued since about February in cases. We average anywhere between 2 to 20 cases a day. The average being about 13 probably cases per day. And the projections are about to hold the same. As I talked to Dr. Bruck and Dr. Holder in Union Hospital today, again, their biggest concern were vaccinations. And we have to make sure that we are advertising people to become vaccinated, to get the vaccine, because it's really going to protect us in the long run and will help give us some assurance in the long run. Right now, I believe that totally vaccinated in the state of Indiana sits at about 31%, and the one-shot, half vaccinated individuals sits about 41%. And again, that's a concern. Union Hospital, in my discussions with them and with Dr. Holder, we have seen a decrease in the number of individuals going to get the vaccine. And we cannot stress the importance of that vaccine at this point in time. We do have a shot clinic that we are setting up. Thank you to the health department. They asked us to set up the shot clinic, and we are going to do that in the 3 high schools. At the end of the month, we have students that have, and parents that have signed up their students, and we will continue that effort to vaccinate those. That age has gone down to the age of 16 and up, and we'll see where we land in the future with more emergency youth authorizations. So that is an update as far as where we are now, and at this point I would like to talk a little bit about where we intend to go. We have a pandemic plan in Vigo County, and we have to update that pandemic plan. I sometimes receive calls and saying we need to update that, and I said at the beginning that it would be a work in progress, and now is the time. So just a word, a warning to the board and to Dr. Hayworth that in the coming weeks and months, we will be bringing you a revised plan and seeking board approval with that plan. But at this current time, we would like to give a little taste of what we have in store for that plan. So the biggest thing is the biggest aspect of the plan is the top line there. We intend, it is our intention within that plan to have in-person 5-day-a-week school, K through 12, for next school year. Again, I will repeat, we intend to have K through 12, 5-day-a-week, in-person school next school year. Masking, policy for all students, we will wait on the governor and the State Board of Health to give us guidance on that, and also our local Board of Health and the doctors and physicians that we consult with will also help us with the masking policy. Distancing, continued hygiene, the messaging that Mr. Riley has been putting out, that you receive the phone calls. We will continue those efforts to one degree or another, but as we revise the plan, some of those things will change. And also, regular communication with our community, as I mentioned. So we wanted to really give you a look at what we were thinking and what our intentions will be for next year. And again, we'll bring that plan to you in the coming months before the school year starts. We just want to make sure we have all the guidance that we can receive before we do that. I'll entertain any questions at this point in time.
Are there any questions from the board?
Is there any idea when we expect state guidance on things like that? You know, we're gonna have state guidance, you're kind of waiting on it. Is there any idea when to expect that?
Typically, the national guidance comes to the CDC and then comes through the local and state officials, and then comes to us. And then we look at to see how we want to do that locally. Luckily and fortunately, and I will say this, I go to the health department more times than more times than you can imagine. And we have a tremendous health department. Dr. Brucken does an amazing job. The leadership at the health department does. And we're just very fortunate to have hands-on guidance from them time and time again. And we will continue those efforts. So I do not know, but guidance comes in all the time.
I just want to do a shout out to our fellow board member, Joan Wise, too, for all of her effort in coordinating all of this and living through this with the community and helping and putting in the hours and the angst and everything else. So we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, and our community's worth it.
Yes, well, that's true. Thank you. Anything else for Dr. Balatevich? Okay, thank you. I would like to announce also through the decision of the board and Dr. Hayward that we will continue to the end of the school year now in the same pattern that we are in now. There will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in school, and Monday we learn online. So that is no change from what we're doing presently, so it does not require any vote. And I did want to announce that and make that clear. We'll finish up the year in the pattern of attendance that we are observing right now. Enrollment update. Dr. Hayward?
So if I could have the board turn, I apologize, so you can face the screens, I hope that you can see that in the back. What you're looking at is the final run of our state budget forecast for our school corporation. Think of this as the current year, and you can see our CARES dollars, ESSER 3, and now on there would be infrastructure dollars that we think you're still getting. What I want you to draw your eye to is our enrollment number of 13,582. What the state believes our enrollment will be next year. But you also notice that there are 120 additional virtual students. Our enrollment currently is 13,449. Looking for Tom for validation on this. and that is both virtual and non-virtual students. So we've got a lot of work to do if we believe that our enrollment is going to hit the projected enrollment from the state of Indiana. I'm optimistic that we might be able to get to 13,582 total, but I think that's a pretty big leap for us in enrollment to think about that number of students when right now we stand at 13,449. If you then look at this percentage growth, if we hit that number, that's accurate. But again, I believe it'll be $2 million less than what is being portrayed there. You can see, and I think this is maybe a more accurate reflection of where enrollment will be in the following year. But for that enrollment report, for 13,449, you can see where the state believes we will be. We just believe that's a little overly optimistic. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we're using the efforts that we can to encourage students to map and enroll in visual or in the brick and mortar. For the consent agenda,
There's a
motion to
correction.
approve?
There's a correction. As the meeting of the school board of trustees was held on February 22nd, it was March 22nd because I was absent. The very first line in the minutes
Yes.
just needs a correction. It states that it was held in Indiana on Monday, February 22nd. It needs to read March 22nd.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Mrs. Wise moved to approve the consent agenda as amended, and Mrs. Scott seconded that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
And the Finance Committee report, the April accounts payable docket. The Finance Committee met, and we had some questions which were answered either at that time or by email. And so I know, are there any other questions or comments regarding the Finance Committee?
I'd just like to thank our alternate, Rosemary Scott, for stepping up when we have been ill or unable to attend. Thank you.
Very well, yes. Or we have alternates, and they're always welcome. Okay, I would take a motion to approve the Finance Committee report.
So, second.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Move to approve that with Mrs. Wise seconding that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Under new business, Mr. Cox, our personnel report, professional leave requests.
President Lauer, Superintendent Hayworth, members of the board, administration seeks approval of personnel and professional development report, leave as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Killian moved to approve. Mr. Irwin seconded that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you.
Dr. Mason?
President Lauer, Superintendent Hayworth, and members of the board. In normal school year per board policy, a high school student who earns a C- or below may choose to expunge a course in an effort to earn a higher grade. We are asking that that policy be expanded for the 2021-2022 school year only. COVID-19 impacted students in the academic process during this school year, the 2020-2021 school year. And so students we know may have earned grades lower than they normally would have for a variety of reasons. Therefore, we'd like to request that a student could petition through his or her counselor the opportunity to repeat a course in which the student earned an A- or below. So we're moving from that C- point all the way up to an A-. The lower grade then would be expunged from that student's record. You cannot use this process to earn additional credit. It's simply to expunge a grade. And we would like to offer students the opportunity to do up to 2 required courses during the 2021-2022 school year. It could be 2 during the first semester, it could be 2 during the second semester, or 1 each. So we're not going to stipulate at the point in which the student's school year they would have to expunge those, because courses are offered obviously at different times. So with that being said, this change to that policy would simply be for next school year only, and for students to have the opportunity to choose 2 classes where they earned an A- or below to expunge.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That would apply to classes only taken this current school year, correct?
That's correct.
So the 2020-2021 school year.
That is
So if
correct.
they took a class in 2019 or 2018, depending on the year, those classes are exempt from this policy change. It's just this current school year.
You are correct. And then the second piece is that we're saying required classes only. So we know that students take elective courses and a variety of different courses, but we are stipulating required classes, which are those core classes that are required for graduation.
I have a question too.
Yes.
So that wouldn't in any way affect a student standing in like the top 10%, like the expungement is really just like never happened, right? And
Yeah.
that student could still compete for valedictorian status and all that.
That's correct, and why we, why we believe it's sort of that fair playing field is because everyone will have the opportunity to choose up to 2 classes to expunge. And by not allowing them to take additional classes to add into that divisor, so to speak, everybody remains in that neutral playing field.
Thank you.
Does any parental consent, is it needed at all?
Students simply need to petition through their counselor, and it would be a schedule change, and typically parents are involved in that kind of a process.
And there is a limit of 2 classes per year.
Correct.
That could be expunged.
And this will only be for next year
Two
at
classes
this point
total.
in time. So 2 classes total, you are right. And those 2 classes would have had to have been taken during this school year.
Any other questions from the board?
At what point are you wanting students to declare their option?
So I think once we've had board approval, if we get board approval this evening, we'll roll this information out, and our counselors will have the opportunities to start looking at that scheduling process with students.
And that probably, with the margin available, that will not hinder any possible graduation requirements of credits.
That's correct.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Irwin moved to approve repeating a course for improved grades, and Dr. Powers seconded that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Pease, Social Studies Curriculum Adoption.
President Lauer, Superintendent Dr. Hayworth, and board members. This evening, I bring you information about our social studies curriculum. As you know, this has been the year of social studies textbook adoption. So our teachers K through 12, K through 5, and then of course our social studies teachers 6 through 12 have been reviewing textbooks and plans for adoption of new textbooks for the next 6 years. And so tonight, what's included in your board packet is that list of companies they have selected to go with your approval. Just a little bit of background regarding our teachers' input. We have one representative from each building, each of our buildings K through 12, and they really serve as the liaison between me and the teachers in their building to share information and review samples as they're out there in the buildings before making the decision. So this before you is a list of elementary through all of the required courses in middle and high school and those high school electives. And so we ask for your approval this evening.
Were these also reviewed with an eye towards diversity inclusion, so that make sure we're having a broader view of particularly social studies than we might have in the past?
Absolutely, they were. We really spent some time, Matt McClendon spent some time on our committee and really helped me to take a look at a rubric and putting together a rubric that would include that diversity and inclusion piece, as well as a lot of other components. But he and I really spent some quality time, and we sent that out to committee members for their review, because there wasn't a one-size-fits-all kind of rubric. So we really tried to include those pieces as those teachers examined those textbooks. They could use that rubric to really decide, does it include those pieces that are very, very helpful and necessary.
Any other questions from the board or comments?
Will this also include an online curriculum that can be supplemented with the Chromebooks as well?
Excellent question. K-5 teachers selected an option of a digital platform plus a consumable journal because they really felt very comfortable with the fact that the students still needed something to hold on to and to have something to write in. Our middle school teachers went with a digital platform and a classroom set within the building. And then our high school teachers really felt strongly that those high school classes really still needed a hard copy of the textbook and the digital platform for all classes, because those students are earning a credit. And so a digital platform is their K to 12, right?
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Back in the day, a long time ago, when I was in fourth grade, we studied Indiana history.
Yes.
Is that still the case?
It sure is. Indiana history is grade 4 and United States history is grade 5.
Okay.
Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Powers made a motion to approve the social studies curriculum adoption, and with that, Mrs. Wise?
Yes.
Seconded that. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you. And Mr. Miller, permission to award bid for student Chromebooks.
Yes. President Lauer, Dr. Hayworth, members of the board, I'd like to request permission to award a bid for student Chromebooks. The school corporation solicited bids for the incoming kindergarten class. We placed an advertisement in the Tribune Star on April 5th and April 12th, 2021. An RFP was posted on our website, and bids were opened May 19th, 2021, with CDWG being the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. Tonight, I'd ask permission to award the bid to CDWG for 1,200 Chromebooks. I'd like to ask if you have any questions.
Do they
Yeah.
see?
I think you can make a motion in a second and take questions.
Yes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Are we expecting any delays like we had last time, or have they kind of moved past that?
I think we're in pretty good shape. I think
Projected date now will be shortly after school starts for these devices. And these are for the kindergarten students. And as I've talked with the kindergarten folks that are going to be using them, a little bit of a delay there would be welcomed.
I'm curious to see how this is going to go because I'll have a kindergartner next year, so I'm very curious. You've piqued my interest for sure.
Mr. Irwin made a motion to accept, and Mrs. Killian seconded that. I have roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you, Board.
Mrs. Wilson, consideration of bids for the Otter Creek Middle School project.
President Lauer, Superintendent Hayworth, and members of the Board of School Trustees. Bids were received and opened on April 22nd for the Otter Creek Middle School addition and renovation project. This project provides for construction of an auxiliary gymnasium, reconfigured cafeteria space, new music rooms, renovation of locker rooms in the art room, and other site improvements. Tonight, we're pleased to request approval to award the base bid plus all alternates to Garmong Construction for $8,539,500. You received tonight the bid tabulation sheet, and you were also given Fanning Howie's official recommendation to award this project. This project is within budget and will be funded by the Otter Creek Middle School bonds that will be sold in early May. We ask for your permission to approve this contract this evening.
We do these separately. What do you think we should do together?
I'm just approving, I would approve the bid package as presented. That will get you all the alternates as well as the base bid.
Okay. We will.
You want to make that a, word that into a motion, and second that?
I think we need to have a motion now.
So the administration recommends acceptance of the bid package as presented to you earlier today.
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
I would just like to say I got to witness the tabulation, the opening, and it was a very unique experience, but I welcome it anytime, so thank you for inviting me to be a part of that.
I just think that, excuse me, as we talk about construction costs and, I tried to buy some treated lumber the other day, just seeing what that costs and being able to come in within budget, I think was a very, for me at least, was a welcome surprise. I was a little worried about construction costs and them going up, so coming in within budget was a nice thing to see.
We were a lot worried. And you're exactly right, Hank. I think our project came in at the right time, and would not want to be taking this project 2 months from now.
Dr. Powers made a motion to accept, and Mrs. Killian seconded that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Dr. Hayward?
Yes, members of the board, the administration expected to present a relief and retention resolution at this time in the agenda. However, a question came this afternoon, which we're going to postpone that to our next board meeting. It still is our intent under this resolution to award for their hard, diligent work our staff with stipends over the past 14 months. So we'll bring that back to you at the next point in time.
Thank you. Dr. Kohler, early intervention supplemental grant.
Thank you. Good evening, President Lauer, Superintendent Hayworth, and members of the board.
Tonight we bring you a supplemental grant to the Early Intervention Grant. The original grant was awarded in October of 2020, and the Indiana Department of Ed had additional funds that were used for dyslexia, and so we have been awarded an amount of an additional $1,701.54. And so this would support dyslexia. The Indiana Department of Education passed a law in 2018 that all students K to 2 needed to be screened for dyslexia. So each year since then, Janet Rosemer, our language arts coordinator, and Jean McCleary, our reading and writing coach, have worked with K through 2 teachers to make sure that we have that screening in place. And so this grant would support materials for dyslexia screening.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Wise moved to approve. Dr. Powers seconded that. Are there any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Irwin?
Aye.
Mrs. Killian?
Aye.
Mrs. Lohr?
Aye.
Ms. Lauer?
Aye.
Dr. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you. Now it's time for the second call for citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience like to approach the podium?
Good evening. My name is Sharon Jukes. I am here as a concerned parent and a retired medical professional. I have been taking a 6-week course on the COVID shot, and I don't think you all understand the ramifications of this shot. It has been identified that there are 20 mechanisms of injury to this shot, and if you are going to let the children get these shots, there's going to be massive ramifications. Every adult that has had this shot is going to have a list of these 20 ramifications that can happen. And I deplore you to look at this before you make this decision of having these shot clinics in our schools. You had mentioned about the hospitalizations, in the increase in hospitalizations. I want you to know, even though he said they were non-vaccinated people, do you understand that these vaccines are transmitting things? That the people are showing up to the hospitals because they're having bleeding events. Women who have gone through menopause are starting to bleed again because they've been around people that have been vaccinated. So the question needs to be asked, have those people been around?
Ma'am, you need to address the board.
Have these people been around vaccinated people? Is that why there's an increase in the hospital? Because I have 2 meetings a week with my group. Not only are it's over 400 people around the world. And these events are happening around the world. And it's time for us to wake up. It is not a vaccine. It is a shot. In order for it to be a vaccine, it has to do 4 basic things, and this does none of it. And it is not going to protect you. And the people who get the shot are going to show up positive for COVID. My second thing, when we started the mask, there was not one white paper saying that masks would help. But I want you to know Stanford just released a paper on April 19th stating that the face masks are ineffective to block transmission of COVID and actually can cause health deterioration and premature deaths. Dr. Judy Miskovitz just released her book on the case against masks. Okay, there's got to be a certain percentage of oxygen in our rooms. Are we even monitoring oxygen in our rooms? Are we monitoring CO2 in every single room? Because if you're not monitoring it, then you need to get rid of the mask because you're hurting our children. I'll leave these behind for you, and I believe all the school members got my email.
Anyone else? Hey, Dr. Hayward? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I would just, as a parent of a student in the Vigo County Schools, I would like to thank the school board for all of your mitigation against COVID-19. And I, as a teacher and as a parent, appreciate the masks, and I appreciate all you've done.
Anyone
Matt Luger. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Terrytown Elementary. I would also like to thank everyone for everything that's been going on this year. It obviously has been very difficult, but we have seen such positive effects from all the mitigation procedures, from the AB at the beginning, the social distancing we've integrated into the schools, the mask mandates within the schools have really done a great job of helping control the spread. And obviously nothing's going to be perfect. It has never been claimed to be perfect, but we have seen a lot of positives from the recommendations from the board and from the Vigo County Health Department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, any comments from the board?
I just want to say that it was wonderful to see all the students here tonight, and just, again, it was just a great way to kick off the meeting. It was fun, so.
That's the best part about this role of being a school board member, is getting to see the different things that are going on in the schools and actually seeing the students. And
Yeah, and I think that's been our first taste of it, right,
Yes.
Stacy? Or
Yes,
Mrs.
that-
Millian, excuse me.
I would agree, yes, that's our first case.
Yeah, I love it that they're here, but I wish they would be meeting.
Gotta go do their homework.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going turkey hunting.
Well, that's what it's all about. The kids are our focus and our main goal of improving what we can as far as their education. So, yes, it's always nice to have them part of our meetings and to recognize them for what they're doing or what they've done. So, yes, we do enjoy that.
I saw in my email today, on May 4th, there's an agriculture advisory meeting for our FFA and agriculture program. So I have the link in my email that was sent to me. If anybody else would like to attend, I know May 4th for production agriculture people. It's kind of go outside, is it raining? If the answer is yes, then they may attend, and if the answer is no, the chances are they may not be there. So if anybody would like to attend, there's a link. It's going to be a virtual meeting, so that's May 4th in the afternoon.
Thank you. Anything else?
Tomorrow we have community meetings starting at 6:30, or the May community meeting tomorrow starting at 6:30. That's at Fayette. And then on Thursday at Sugar Grove. We hope to finish strong. We've had good participation in all of our meetings, so hopefully we can continue that here with the last two. This is just the first round. We will do some meetings online with Thoughtexchange, and then we'll pick up with the next round of in-person meetings during the summer.
I really appreciate the members of the community that have come to our meetings, and there have been many. And I hope that those of you that are listening or that are here that have not attended will come to Fayette or Sugar Grove this week and join in with your fellow Vigo County residents and give your opinions and comments. Anything else? We will have a work session May the 10th, 6 o'clock, right here.